breaking news hot off the press. Stephanie White has exposed Caitlin Clark's new role when she come back. Indiana Fever fans and front office is slowly waiting on the return of Caitlin Clark.
What's really going on with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever peels back the curtain on this whole situation.
Stephanie White is the coach of the Indiana Fever. She went and thankfully
praising Caitlin Clark.
Coach generational talent like Caitlin Clark. And
Caitlin Clark is coming back to a team that is just on fire.
Maybe not some indication of when Caitlin Clark may be coming back.
Just moments ago, Stephanie White finally revealed how Caitlin Clark will fit into the Fever's new game plan, and it changes everything. From sideline superstar to team catalyst, Caitlin's role is evolving fast.
We saw this post from the Indiana Fever, and it was saying, we step up for each other, we don't stress over whose night it is, we're all there to win, that's how we repay each other. Apparently, the Indiana Fever chose a picture without Caitlin Clark in it.
And it's time the world sees why that matters. Comment 100% for Caitlin if you're standing with her all the way. Let's dive in.
Clark has firmly established herself as the biggest name in the WNBA.
When Caitlin Clark went down with a groin injury on July 15th.
Officially, this is about a groin injury. It's about being cautious. It's about prioritizing her long-term health. And we heard it all before. The Fever released a statement saying medical evaluations found no additional injuries or damage, but in the same breath, they gave her no return timeline.
Caitlin has played 13 games this year. Like, can we be just real for 1 second? She is barely playing basketball.
It seemed like the Indiana Fever's momentum might crash. Instead, something unexpected happened. The team went on a 5-game win streak.
You're kind of part of this jumble in the standings where you're 16-12, Seattle's 16-12, which is a lot of teams.
Their best stretch of the season. Headlines buzzed. Pundits praised the Fever's depth and balanced offense. And in the middle of it all, head coach Stephanie White stepped up to the mic and called Caitlin's absence a blessing in disguise. Let that sink in. Stephanie White claimed the injury gave other players the chance to find themselves and play with more confidence. She highlighted how no one felt afraid to make the big play anymore. On the surface, that might sound like a coach rallying her squad.
we didn't get too high, we didn't get too low. Like, look, this league is tough and teams are going to make runs. And this is a veteran team in Seattle who understands the ebbs and flows of a game and made plays when they needed to make plays. And I was proud of our group for how we stayed not just together, because we always stay together, but how we stayed even. And we came down and we went to the next play.
But beneath that, it was the start of a strategic shift.
It doesn't hurt, which means see you in 2026. She's fine. Like, if we're gonna be honest, Caitlin Clark, apparently she's already doing full court sprinting. If Caitlin Clark was out for the season, she wouldn't be trying to rehab an injury in Russia. She would be sitting out. She was injured.
A clear attempt to build a system that didn't rely entirely on Caitlin Clark. White emphasized that without Caitlin, the team was suddenly harder to scout.
You guys have had a lot of success, more success than anyone without their star player. How have you guys been able to stick together without having Caitlin on the floor?
And you really can't discount how important that is when you're playing for the person beside you.
Why? Because instead of funneling offense through one superstar, the ball was moving more. Players like Sophie Cunningham, Aari McDonald, and even Natasha Howard began getting more touches and opportunities. There was talk about team-first basketball, about balance, about unity. And sure, some of that praise is deserved. Sophie Cunningham, who was struggling early in the season, suddenly caught fire, averaging over 12 points per game and shooting above 50% from deep during Clark's absence. Aari McDonald stepped in and gave the team a real point guard presence. It looked like everything was falling into place. But here's what no one in that locker room can deny. Caitlin Clark changed the DNA of this team the moment she arrived.
Stephanie White says there still is no timetable for her return. Quote, the most important thing for us is Caitlin's long-term health, getting her back to 100% before we put her back on the floor.
Let's not rewrite history. When Clark was healthy, she wasn't just scoring. She was opening up the floor, forcing double teams, creating spacing, and elevating every player on the court. The same Sophie Cunningham who's thriving now? She's about to thrive even more when defenses collapse on Caitlin.
As Sophie's not getting the ball in that corner, Lexi's not getting the ball in that corner, they are going to start seeing that ball. They're going to get those shots off some more.
And she's left wide open on the wing. Lexi Hull, invisible without Clark. Aaliyah Boston, inconsistent unless Clark's gravity is giving her space in the paint. Yet in press conferences, Stephanie White sounded almost relieved. Calling Caitlin's injury a blessing? That's not just poor phrasing, it's a signal.
Think about that. No new damage, but absolutely no idea when the face of the league will be back on the court. Weeks are passing. She's missing game after game. For a player of this magnitude, this is starting to feel less like extreme caution and more like a convenient excuse.
A signal that she's trying to prove that her system can survive, even flourish, without the WNBA's biggest name. But let's not twist the narrative. This team didn't magically get better. They faced weaker opponents, and several of those wins were narrow escapes.
So she's definitely going to be out for the away trip. She's definitely going to be out for 2 games this week. She's almost certainly going to be out for the game on Saturday.
Against stronger teams, they still struggled to score consistently. Yes, the Fever showed heart. Yes, they played together. But the ceiling without Clark, limited.
If they go 2-3, they're still in really good shape. They should go 3-2 in these 5 games. Even if they go 2-3, if they go 1-4, it's not the end of the world. If they go 2-3, not the end of the world. If they go 3-2 or 4-1, great. They're not going to win 10 games in a row.
And fans know it. Without Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever might be scrappy. But with her, they're dangerous.
The Valkyries are a team that the Fever need to win. Like Caitlin needs to beat Kate Martin once in her career.
They're must-watch. They're electric. And no amount of team-first talking points can erase the fact that Caitlin Clark is the engine of this franchise, even when she's not on the court.
He has started some full court running, full speed running the last 4 or 5 days. Still not doing full basketball activities, but there has been some progress made recently.
Yeah. Let's cut through the noise. The Indiana Fever's 5-game win streak without Caitlin Clark made headlines, but not for the right reasons. Instead of celebrating what Clark helped build, the media twisted the narrative. Are the Fever better without her?
Yesterday, they went on a 5-game win streak. And we have to be honest when it comes to the Fever.
It was a classic case of selective memory, ignoring the foundational role Caitlin played in getting the team to this point in the first place. Look at the stats. With Caitlin on the floor, Indiana had some of its highest scoring games of the season. In fact, the first time she returned from rest, they dropped 102 points on the Atlanta Dream, a team they previously scored just 58 points against without her.
Indiana Fever fans and front office is slowly waiting on the return of Caitlin Clark, man. The Indiana Fever is currently sitting at around 8-7 without her. I've been holding true to this. With Caitlin Clark being on the floor, their record was 8-5. The team is only going to get better with her return.
Without Caitlin Clark comes back, they scored 102 points.
That's a 44-point swing, driven by Clark's playmaking, vision, and scoring gravity. She had 31 points and 12 assists in one game, 35 points in another, and of course, that legendary triple-double against the Sparks.
As good as saying the Indiana Fever are better without Caitlin Clark.
Those aren't just big games. Those are era-defining performances. And while others stepped up in her absence, it was Clark's presence on the court that turned a struggling team into a national conversation. Now let's talk about impact beyond numbers. Caitlin draws double and triple teams. She pulls defenders to half court and creates lanes for cutters.
And when Caitlin Clark does return to the floor, how is she going to help elevate this team even more down the stretch of the season?
Well, she demands so much gravity on the defensive end of the floor.
Shooters and post players.
Well, she demands so much gravity on the defensive end of the floor.
When she drives to the rim, defenders collapse, leaving Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull with wide open threes. When she steps beyond the arc, defenses stretch, giving Aaliyah Boston more room in the paint. Players like Boston, Hull, and even Mitchell feed off Caitlin's presence. Without her, they're often left trying to create for themselves, and the results speak for themselves.
It'll be interesting to see her come back and see this team fully go full circle around their set leader, and I'm still banking on it being Caitlin Clark.
Aaliyah's production noticeably dipped during Clark's absence, with limited shot attempts and low aggression, despite her talent. The same Boston who dominated early in the year looked out of sync, unsure, and far less dominant when Caitlin wasn't beside her. Lexi Hull practically disappeared without Caitlin's passing. The spacing vanished. The movement stalled. The offense slowed to a crawl. Yet somehow this became a talking point to downplay Caitlin's value. Let's be very clear. Team growth is not proof that Caitlin isn't needed. It's proof that the team is finally learning how to support her.
And the Indiana Fever are hungry to prove they can win without Caitlin Clark.
Stephanie White called Clark's absence a blessing in disguise. But maybe it was a wake-up call, a chance for the Fever to recognize how to play with more urgency and not rely on Clark to save them in every possession. That's not a downgrade of Caitlin. It's an upgrade to the supporting cast. And when that supporting cast meets Caitlin's full powers again, watch out. And let's talk about the mental side. Caitlin Clark has faced more pressure than any other rookie in WNBA history. Media scrutiny, fan expectations, vicious online trolls, constant criticism, even when she's not playing. And still she shows up, supports her teammates, and remains the face of the franchise. She stays composed, she stays focused, and she still leads the league in fan engagement, media coverage, and jersey sales.
Redacted his praise for staying composed, tuning out the noise, and keeping focused.
That's not just a player, that's a professional. The real danger here isn't Caitlin's game. It's the narrative being built around her.
There has been this notion, like I stated, that the Fever are better without Caitlin. Jeff Teague stated this last week, and I'm here to tell you, he went on air and said this ish again, and I don't know why this Caitlin hate train is starting to pick up steam. It's actually starting to get views, and this is crazy because when a person is not present,
I wonder why they on a 5-game win streak, but let's keep it going. What's up?
They playing better without her?
Right, as of this year, you can say that, yes. But hey, stay out of locker room. The Mercury,
for real.
yeah, when I speak, I
real.
always speak the gospel, bro. I respect it.
24.
Some in the media and WNBA circles are trying to frame her as a problem because she commands too much attention.
What's being framed as the dark side isn't bad actors, trolls, it's the fans.
Too much hype, too many fans.
Carolyn Peck is the most anti-Caitlin Clark. And I don't mean like, oh, Caitlin Clark, the person hater, just Caitlin. She's the most anti-Caitlin Clark, the basketball player.
But let's be honest, those are exactly the reasons the league is growing. She's not a distraction. She's the reason people are watching. And it's not just about the fans. It's about the Fever's identity. Without Caitlin, they're a decent team. With her, they're a national brand. They're a movement. She brought millions of new eyes to the league and to Indiana. This isn't just basketball. It's culture. It's marketing. It's momentum. So the idea that the Fever are better without her, it's not just inaccurate. It's insulting. To the fans, to the players she uplifts, and to Caitlin herself. Let's not forget, this is the same Caitlin Clark who broke NCAA records, sold out arenas, and brought a new generation of fans to women's basketball. You don't sideline that energy, you build around it.
Don't scold your most engaged audience, don't talk down to them, don't turn your free feedback loop into a threat response.
The Fever may have learned to stand without her, but their future depends on how high they can fly with her. Stephanie White may not have said it directly, but actions speak louder than words. Behind all the cryptic press conferences, behind the blessing in disguise quotes, behind the vague injury updates, there's a much bigger shift happening inside the Indiana Fever organization. And it's this. Caitlin Clark isn't being removed from the system, she's being recast to run it. Let's unpack exactly what that means. Early in the season, Caitlin Clark was asked to adjust, play off ball, defer to veterans, blend into a pre-existing structure that didn't match her game. It was awkward. At times, it was painful to watch. You had the best passer in the league being used as a decoy. You had the most dangerous transition scorer walking the ball up the floor. It wasn't basketball. It was resistance. But something shifted after that. Slowly, the Fever realized that forcing Caitlin Clark to fit into a rigid, motion-heavy system wasn't just inefficient, it was counterproductive. You don't ask a Formula One car to drive like a minivan. You clear the road. And now, post-injury, everything points to a new vision for Clark. Not the system breaker, the system runner. Stephanie White has finally acknowledged, directly or indirectly, that this team works best when it moves with Caitlin, not around her.
This franchise is just a part of my DNA. You know, growing up in Indiana, playing most of my career in the state of Indiana, being a part of the first Indiana Fever team, being a part of the first championship Fever team, and then being able to coach in this organization, it's been huge for me. I take a lot of pride in basketball in the state of Indiana. I take a lot of pride in this franchise and being a part of this franchise. And you know, Kelly Krauskopf is back with our organization, who really was the architect of our first championship and has been the backbone of this franchise. And to work with her and Amber Cox and to be able to coach generational talent like Caitlin Clark. And, you know, we really do just have a great group of human beings and a strong group of women that are leading our organization.
And that means her new role won't be about chucking up 30 shots a game or trying to be a one-woman offense. It's about orchestrating, managing, elevating, and executing. She will still be the engine, but this engine is about to get some real horsepower around her. Here's what her new role looks like, on the floor and off it. Forget the off-ball experiment. Clark will have the ball in her hands more often, and not just to shoot. She's going to control pace, tempo, and decision-making. Why? Because when Caitlin Clark has the ball, defenders collapse, the court opens, shooters relocate, big seal inside. And when the Fever play through her, the offense doesn't just flow, it surges. She'll be initiating the offense, reading defenses, calling out sets. And with teammates like Aari McDonald and Sophie Cunningham finding their rhythm, Caitlin now has more reliable options to feed the ball to. This isn't about scoring 40 a night. It's about dictating everything. Even when she doesn't touch the ball, Caitlin Clark bends defenses. Teams scheme to stop her 25 feet from the rim. That gravity is unique, and Stephanie White now understands how to weaponize it. Picture this. Clark drives right, two defenders help, and boom, Sophie Cunningham's wide open on the left wing.
Don't game plan for Caitlin Clark and watch what happens. Watch what happens if you come out there and you guard Kelsey Mitchell the most.
Or Clark pulls up from the logo, drawing a big out of the paint, and Aaliyah Boston gets an easy seal for a layup. This isn't a luxury. It's the core weapon of the offense.
And when Caitlin Clark does return to the floor, how is she going to help elevate this team even more down the stretch of the season?
Well, she demands so much gravity on the defensive end of the floor.
Defenses don't just react to Clark, they obsess over her. Her role going forward will exploit that. She'll use her presence to open up others, knowing full well that any lapse from the defense means she can still drop 30 in a blink. Let's not overlook this. Caitlin Clark isn't just an elite player. She's a born leader. Her teammates feed off her energy, intensity, and poise. While sidelined, she never disengaged. She was the first to congratulate a big shot, the loudest voice on the bench, the one bringing the team together during timeouts. That's rare, especially from a rookie. And now that the team has found confidence in themselves, Clark's role evolves again, from focal point to facilitator of belief. Her voice will matter more. Her leadership will shape the team's culture. She's the heartbeat of the fan base. Now she becomes the heartbeat of the locker room. Clark's new role will unlock her full offensive potential, not just as a deep shooter, but as a two-level threat. Expect more designed pick and rolls with Boston, more quick hitters in transition, and more freedom to read and react. She'll also be tasked with attacking mismatches more strategically, using her vision and footwork to collapse defenses and trigger motion off her passes.
She brings her own defensive versatility because of her length, because of her size. So we'll certainly look different. I think we'll be that much more dangerous on offense.
This flexibility turns the Fever from a predictable offense to a matchup nightmare. No more isolation for the sake of it. Now it's precision. Every cut, every read, every flare screen designed to capitalize on what only Caitlin Clark can do.
Howard going crazy. You're still going to have Boston going crazy. Aari, Kelsey, you're going to have these players still doing what they're supposed to be doing. On top of now we're getting that facilitating skill.
Despite the rumors, the politics, the whispers that maybe the Fever are better without her, the reality is this. Caitlin Clark is the franchise. This new role doesn't demote her. It empowers her to lead on every level. It removes the expectation that she has to carry the team alone and instead arms her with teammates who finally believe in themselves and in her. When she returns to full form, she's not just returning as a player. She's returning as a recalibrated, redefined, and respected architect of the Fever's identity. Let's also address the elephant in the room. There were moments, especially early on, where Stephanie White's decisions raised eyebrows.
Stephanie White's not the biggest fan of Caitlin. I actually don't think Stephanie White's the biggest fan of Caitlin, the player. Like, if we're being honest, it's probably unlikely Stephanie White.
Sitting Clark for long stretches, playing her off ball, calling her injury a blessing in disguise. Even the body language in some post-game interviews hinted at tension. But now the smoke is clearing.
Yeah, I mean, we have updates and our recovery's going well. It's just, I think for us staying the course and making sure that we're really diligent about each step that we take and that we don't have setbacks and that we're patient with it. I know she wants to be out here on the floor and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time, and go from.
It's becoming clear that the Fever are recalibrating not to avoid Caitlin Clark, but to get the most out of her. The 5-game streak didn't make Clark irrelevant. It proved what this team could become, with her leading a more balanced, confident unit. Stephanie White isn't sidelining her star. She's preparing a better platform for her to shine. This is the new era of the Indiana Fever. No longer Caitlin and company, but a unit built around her, not buried beneath her. And when she steps back on that court, healthy and ready, she's not coming back into the old role. She's stepping into a throne, a smarter, stronger, more dangerous Caitlin Clark, leading a team that finally knows how to follow her. So let's set the record straight. Caitlin Clark isn't a blessing in disguise to be sidelined. She's the blueprint, the floor general, the franchise. Stephanie White may have experimented with rotations and structure while Caitlin healed, but now the time for testing is over. The Fever have a system, they have momentum, and they have their star returning with a new role that's more dangerous than ever. This isn't just about making the playoffs anymore. It's about reshaping the entire identity of the team around the one player who made all of this possible.
For the first time since 2012, the Indiana Fever has a record like this. For the first time since 2012, they are winning consecutive games.
With the ball back in her hands and a cast of teammates finally stepping into their roles, Caitlin Clark 2.0 is about to be unleashed.
Caitlin Clark is in the lab preparing a return of a lifetime. She got the vibranium in her.
You are the problem if you are a fan of one player.
And the league better be ready. Drop a 100% for Caitlin in the comments if you're riding with her through every pass, every shot, and every statement she makes on and off the court.